Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Deanna Angelo, this is Market Stalkers, and today I'm making a video based on requests from last week where I started talking about various lagging indicators and I mentioned I use Fisher Transform, which is a tool not that commonly known. So as a result, I had a number of comments asking me to create a video about how I use Fisher Transform. So here it is. Fisher Transform. If you've never heard about it, just quickly without going, too deep into it, it is a different way to normalize data that isn't normally distributed, such as time series data like prices. It's kind of a different indicator from your bog standard relative strength index and, completely different from something like Bollinger Bands, which was one of the comments last week. See, Bollinger Bands rely on a standard deviation from the normally distributed prices. Whereas Fisher Transform, on the other hand, it doesn't use standard deviation at all, but instead it attempts to locate extreme cycle turns by using prices that fall way outside of the standard deviation. And as such, those sort of cycle turns are not really seen that frequently. So that's the entire point of it. You're not interested in catching prices that fall within the standard deviation from the mean. We don't want to know about those when you're looking for cycle turns. So it's a very, very different use. The way I use Fisher Transform is with some of my own previously defined extreme values, which I came to discover through years and years of observation, and then later on I used it in one of my algorithms as well. Before I go on, I want to make sure that it's completely clear. I don't use it like a do or die condition. I guess I use it more as a supportive factor and a confirmation tool rather than any kind of a leading indicator that's going to drive all of my decision making. I use it to help me confirm a reversal from an already previously identified supply and demand area that I find interesting. I also want to say that this is my way of using Fisher Transform. You won't find this in books anywhere, it's just how I use it. Feel free to explore some other ways, but all I can comment on in this video is my own experience with it and also how I've made it work for me. In a nutshell, I use it when the price is arriving into an area of supply or demand on the daily chart exclusively. I have not used it on anything lower than this, although I've had a few people who have told me they've had some success using Fisher Transform on a 30-minute chart as well. Those particular traders, they've also used it with my day trading time zones, which is my own concept explained in the Pro Development Program Level 2. There are reasons why we trade at particular times of day and so on. So here you see the Fisher Transform hit that predefined oversold value of minus 1.7. And you can see there was a demand area on the daily chart, but it's not just the fact that there's, Fisher Transform hit oversold, therefore I'm, immediately starting to buy. Think of it more like when it hits a particular level, you start to monitor for some other things to happen, like potential slowdown in price. I do that through TPO profile intraday because I'm mainly an intraday trader when it comes to Forex and commodities futures. But for stocks and for equity indices, they have a very different behavior. And with Fisher Transform, you really need to put it into context. An oversold level on something that's very highly volatile, such as crude oil, it's not necessarily going to have the same value as something that is a lot more one-sided, something like a high growth single stock or equity indices. Those kind of products tend to have an upward bias. There's this tendency of less experienced traders to kind of just see an indicator and then use it on everything and anything, completely disregarding the overall behavior of the asset class. So for example, if you were to use Fisher Transform or something like Tesla, here's the daily chart. And even if I keep scrolling back, Tesla actually never reaches that predefined oversold level of minus 1.7. So if you're waiting for minus 1.7, you'll be waiting forever. And this is where, that trend adjustment and some common sense has to come in. Rather than waiting for the oversold level that you're using in crude oil or Forex, you need to adjust for the strength of the Tesla stock and then use Fisher Transform at 0 as an adjusted oversold level. And then in that case, when you now go and pair this up with the demand area on the daily chart, suddenly me tweeting about, I'm interested in buying Tesla at 350 price. Now it's very clear. With Fisher transform at 0, which in this particular case, it does mean an oversold condition. So some awareness of why an indicator is behaving a certain way and in what type of context is this event happening, that's always useful. By the way, if you're liking the video so far, show some love. Give it a like, share, and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Feel free to comment on the video with your thoughts. Are you planning to start using Fisher Transform? Have you already used it? Do you already own Blahtech Fisher Transform? Let's start a discussion so that the rest of the trading community can also benefit from, all of our collective experience. That's what we're here for, right? So like, share, comment, dislike, and also you might want to hit the notification button so that you're instantly woken up as soon as I post my videos at 3 a.m. Okay, back to Fisher Transform. Like I said before, I don't just use Fisher Transform and supply and demand to immediately start buying or selling. I go a step further because I am an intraday trader. So I also start to look for suitable order flow events to happen on the TPO profile as well. So let me show you the example from just earlier on. If I go to this area that I was showing you just before, if I switch on my Blahtech time machine to see what everything else was looking like at the time. So the Fisher Transform, I put this line on the day when the Fisher Transform hit my oversold condition. If you can see here, the New York session, which is the regular trading hours, it's set to NYMEX trading hours, it starts to overlap. So you have 1 day overlap, 2-day overlap, 3-day overlap, and then finally on that 4th day you get an open above value. Only then do I go, right, it's time for me to start buying. So until I get that long overnight inventory, I don't really just go, hey, Fisher Transform oversold, I'm gonna start buying. So there's a lot more to it. It's not as simple. In fact, every time somebody says to me, can you just give me a simple strategy? No, because trading is not simple. You look for simple, you're gonna lose money. It's as simple as that. So you have to pair up whatever lagging indicator you have with these lower time frame clues, if you will, before you definitely decide, right, this is a trend turn. So, catching cycles is an art form, but there's definitely a systematic way to do it. And Fisher Transform is one of the tools that can help you sift out the right timing for when you're even supposed to be looking for the trend change. I hope you found this video useful. You will find a link to Blahtech Fisher Transform for MetaTrader 5 down below in the description box. And you will also find a whole bunch of other links to the main website and also to our Patreon. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to announce on Friday, 16th of October, I'm doing a live Q&A just for my patrons, which will be at 8 p.m. London time. That is 3 p.m. Eastern time and noon Pacific time. And because there's only a few of you on there, I will open that first Q&A live stream for every patron. So if you want to be a part of it, you'll find the link to my Patreon down below in the description box. But be forewarned, it'll be Friday and I might be drinking. The longer the Q&A goes on for, the less coherent my answers might become. Hope to see you there. In the meantime, big thank you and a big shout out to my current patrons. Feel free to check out my other videos on trader issues and current weekly strategy video. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time.